November 19th, 2004, a date that would become synonymous with chaos, confrontation, and a defining moment in NBA history. A regular season game between two of the league's most talented teams, the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers, would explode into something far greater, something the world had never seen before. The Palace of Auburn Hills was alive with anticipation, the fans roaring, the players locked in. The game was intense, physical, competitive, but no one could have predicted the violence that was about to unfold. The game had been anything but cordial. The Pacers were leading, and the Pistons were visibly frustrated. And then it happened. Ron Artest, known for his aggressive style of play, fouled Ben Wallace hard. It wasn't just a regular foul. It was hard, and it sent a message. Wallace, frustrated with the way the game had been going, didn't hold back. He shoved Artest in retaliation, the tension now spilling over.
When you're in the heat of the moment, things happen. Unfortunately, it spilled over into the stands, and fans got involved. Players threw punches at fans, fans threw punches at players. We made mistakes as players. Fans made a mistake. We all learned from it. We all manned up and took our punishment. Nobody griped and moaned about it. It was just fortunate that nobody got seriously injured, which was always a blessing.
Players and coaches rushed in to separate the two. The heat was undeniable, but it felt like it was contained. But in a split second, that sense of control would unravel. Ron Artest, seeking a moment of peace, lay back on the scorer's table, his mind racing, his body in turmoil. But peace was not to come. A fan in the stands, drunk and reckless, threw a cup of beer at Artest. The beer splashed across his chest, and in that moment, everything changed. Artest didn't hesitate. In one swift motion, he charged into the stands, igniting a fight that would forever alter the landscape of professional basketball. As Artest stormed into the crowd, his teammates, Stephen Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal, followed him into the chaos. What started as a physical altercation between two players had now exploded into an all-out brawl. Fans who had paid to watch a basketball game were suddenly thrown into the heart of an unthinkable battle. Chairs were thrown, fists were exchanged. The game that was meant to showcase athleticism and skill had turned into pure violence.
The whole league knew we were the best team in the league that year. We had the best record, and this game was our test. So we went there and blew them out. So at the end of the game, some kind of way, Jamal Tinsley and Ron Artest are having a conversation at the free throw line. I'm not knowing Ron is thinking about returning a foul to Ben from last year's playoffs. If I would have known that, I would have stopped him. We all know Ron wasn't in his right mind. I'm guarding Ben. I let him score. Let the clock run out. He comes from out of nowhere and take Ben out the air. This is what people don't know. A couple days before that, I think Ben had just lost his mom. He fouled him, and Ben didn't expect it. Next thing you know, Ben run up to Ron and push his head out to the parking lot. As Ben pushed him, Ben just starts swelling up and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're just trying to calm Ron down because we're trying to get out of there. He took Ben Wallace throwing all kind of stuff at him, but when the beer came down his face, he just lost it. When he went, I just went with him. Rich, I didn't think twice. Went in there, laid a couple guys out, and did what I had to do.
Security had to act quickly. The game was suspended, and both teams were escorted off the court. What followed would be the most severe aftermath the NBA had ever seen. The fallout was immediate and severe. The NBA's image had been irreparably damaged. The world watched as the players, once seen as idols, were now vilified as villains. Ron Artest was suspended for the rest of the season, the longest suspension in NBA history. Stephen Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal were each handed long suspensions, and Ben Wallace wasn't immune either, receiving a suspension of his own. Ron Artest lost nearly $5 million in salary from his suspension. For other players, the financial toll was just as severe, but the most crushing impact was felt by the Pacers, who had championship aspirations that were destroyed. The Malice at the Palace wasn't just a game-changing moment. It was a cultural flashpoint that ignited conversations on race, class, and the blurred lines between athletes and the fans who once adored them. There was no ignoring the racial component. The incident reinforced the negative stereotypes that were often projected onto black athletes, and that shaped the narrative in a way that overshadowed the actual event. In the wake of the brawl, the NBA implemented sweeping changes, stricter alcohol policies, enhanced security measures, and even a new dress code designed to restore professionalism to the league. In the years that followed, those involved in the brawl sought redemption. They embrace their role as leaders in the community and advocates for mental health awareness.
Do you think that the Pacers-Pistons brawl that happened, do you think that always kind of haunts you when it comes to endorsements and that type of thing?
Well, I mean, the Pistons brawl, yeah, it can haunt me when it comes to endorsements or different corporate opportunities, but that's a part of me. Somebody did something to me, I reacted, you know, I can't change who I am.
Yeah.
I can't change the fact that, you know, I had to grow up in survival mode, and then when I get older, if you put me in a situation where I gotta survive, I will. It was a time, it happened, you know, it was something that you wish it didn't happen because you lost a lot of money, but you put yourself in a situation, anybody put themselves in a situation, you know, they probably would have done the same thing. It was unfortunate, but
what do you think really triggered it going over the top the way it did? Because fights happen.
What do you think triggered it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either. If you don't know, I don't know.
If you don't know, I don't know.
If you don't know, I don't know.
Right, because then even the fans started getting involved in it and everything.
You know, it was, if nobody knows what happened, then I don't know what happened. I ain't gonna lie.
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel you. You had talked about at one point in an interview that you used to drink Hennessy during halftime?
I mean, when I was young, I used to do wild stuff. You know, things that I don't recommend. You know, I had one moment where I was like spiraling down.
And that was
too many things going on in my life.
And that was part of it?
And part of it, yeah. I think I was before the game. I kind of took a sip of some things, but it was a part of my life where things were spiraling downwards, and it wasn't that bad. Nothing was spiraling downwards. Just mentally, I wasn't strong mentally. Everything just got to me as a 19-year-old kid.
Oh, so this was when you were 19?
I was like 19, and yeah, everything would get to me. You know, I was still like in a young mind frame and still reckless and just so immature at that age. And I got through it.
Artest, now Metta World Peace, used his experience to open up a conversation on mental health, showing the world that redemption is possible. The Malice at the Palace left an indelible mark on the NBA. It wasn't just a moment of chaos, it was a moment of reckoning. It forced the NBA to confront its image, its players' humanity, and the relationship between them and their fans. In 2021, the documentary Untold, Malice at the Palace offered a new perspective on that fateful night, giving the players involved a chance to share their side of the story. Ultimately, it was a story of growth. It was a reminder that even the most chaotic moments could lead to profound change, not just for those involved, but for the world watching. The Malice at the Palace is more than a brawl. It's a reminder of the human side of athletes, the thin line between passion and violence, and the complex relationship between fans and players. It's a moment that transcended basketball, a moment that still lives in infamy.